Hello everyone, Drad here. I've been asked by a few of my friends to make something that is vegan. Vegan's not really my wheelhouse, but I do have a few appetizers and snacks, side dishes if you will, that kind of meet the description, so I decided to go ahead and make one. So today we're going to make a roasted red pepper dip. So that'll go with some pita chips for me, or whatever else suits your nutritional needs. All right, to make our red pepper dip, it starts with red bell peppers. I much prefer the red bell peppers because they're already more ripe. They are just ripened versions of the green bell peppers, and they're sweeter. And when you roast them, that sweetness really comes out, and then actually adds some kind of creaminess even to the dish itself. I'm gonna roast a little onion with it, some garlic, and I'm gonna try a couple little jalapenos to go in there just to add some heat. And usually you throw in a little acid. I'm going to use maybe a combination of balsamic vinegar, red wine vinegar for my acids. And for my fats, I'm going to try an avocado. Normally just use some olive oil, but I think an avocado actually makes a really good substitute for a lot of fats, butter, and other oils. And it's a healthy fat, so should be all right. All right, for starters, I went ahead and preheated my oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. That's pretty hot, and it's going to cook for like 40 to 50 minutes to roast these. We actually want the peppers and onions to get a little brown just in the oven itself. I lined a large cookie sheet with some parchment paper, and now we're going to go ahead and prepare some of the vegetables. So it doesn't take much prep. I just want to remove some of the pieces, like stickers, can't have those. Some of the pieces that I don't actually want, like the ribs and seeds and stems from the bell peppers themselves. So all I really have to do is kind of cut off the four sides, get a little bit of the bottom, and that's it. I don't have to chop them down any further. I'm just going to throw them onto my baking sheet. I'm going to start with the cut sides down. I don't think it really matters, but that's just what I've done. So we're going to kind of speed through. I'm going to do the same thing for the rest of these bell peppers. Well, I'm not actually cooking anything in the skillet this time, but how about a little sausage sizzle to pass the time? Alright, I cut up 5 red bell peppers, and I went ahead and just started sprinkling in the cloves of garlic. I used like 6 or 7 big cloves of garlic, as well as 5 red bell peppers. I'm going to use 1 purple onion and 1 white onion to roast as well. And so for these, I'm just going to cut the tops and bottoms off, cut them in half, and then peel the outside layers. Throw things in my trash bowl here. And then I don't care about breaking them all into their individual layers, but I do want to break it up a little bit, especially the closer to the middle that I am. Break it into a handful of these layers. All right, we're gonna do the same thing with the red onion. I actually think I'm gonna do this a little differently. I'm gonna cut like a little slice out of the side just to make a flat spot. Go ahead and cut a little bit so that I can peel off this outer layer. This outer layer is real tough, textured, so we do want to get rid of that. Okay. Put it on the flat spot, and then make some rings instead. And then I can just lay my rings on my parchment paper. It's okay if the vegetables overlap a little bit. That's why I used a really big cookie sheet, because this does take up a lot of surface area once you've cut them into pieces and flatten them kind of outward. But this ought to do fine. And then last, I'm going to do a couple of these jalapenos. I'm just going to cut the caps off. I'm going to take each pepper, I'm going to cut it in half. I want to do it in such a way where I have kind of easy access to scoop out some of these seeds. The seeds and ribs of a hot pepper are where most all the capsaicin is held, and that's what holds the heat. Then we're just going to take a little melon baller. I come in and kind of dig out from side to side. You could use a little paring knife, actually. Sometimes that's easier. Alright, you can kind of see how I've just got some things spread around. Bell peppers, just a tiny bit of overlap. Who cares? It's going to get hot, it's going to get brown. It's all going to be good. I'm going to put this in for about 50 minutes, and about 30 minutes in I'm going to flip everything over. That way we can get some brownings on top and bottom pretty good. Alright, I just pulled the vegetables out of the oven. I probably let them go a little bit longer than I had anticipated. Some of the, you can hear this little crackly bit, some of the outside of some of the onions got a little over dry. Browning, all this kind of stuff is okay. A little of this crackle is good. That really adds a lot of flavor, but too much dryness will take away from the dip itself. We do want to have some moisture. A lot of the peppers and stuff will have like a kind of a jelly consistency on the inside. That's exactly what we want. A couple of jalapenos here. You can kind of see that the purple onion is still, like, it's not crisp, it's a little jellied. That's okay. I think this is all just great. And then you can see some of these pieces of garlic have gotten browned, and they're even kind of crunchy. You can hear that. It's probably a little bit much on the garlic, but it smells wonderful. The flavor component's going to be big. So, knowing that I maybe overcooked a little on some of the veggies, maybe you should have taken off some of the garlic a little early, something like that. It's still okay, because I can just add a little bit more fat, a little bit more vinegar as part of the flavoring, just to make sure that I get some of the moisture consistency back into the dip that I want. So let's kind of see what we're going to do here. Alright, first things first, I've got a couple of avocados. One of these is super ripe, so some of it I may not be able to use because it might be a little overripe. But in order to split these, I just put a little cut down the middle until I can feel the pit on the blade, and then just rotate it around through the middle so that you cut it. So I'm just cutting around the pit, and then I can twist, and you can see the pit still in the middle. You can see some of this coloration. Like I said, it was a little overripe, so I might not put this bit in there with it. It's one little hit with the pit, a little turn, and it pops right out of there. Okay, so let's go ahead and put this in my blender. Alright, we got our blender here. I'm going to pop the top off. I'm going to start with 1/2 of this avocado. Only, like I said, that extra overripe bit, went ahead and left that out. We're probably going to wind up using more than that, but I want to start there. Put in my purple onions, my regular onions. I'm going to start by giving it a couple pulses here. just want to break it up so that I got space to put in the rest of the ingredients. All right. Garlic, red peppers, all of it just kind of goes in here. Judging by everything, I'm going to go ahead and put the other half of this avocado in. Just fine. I tasted one of those jalapenos. They really cooked most of all the heat out of the jalapeno. I really didn't even taste any heat left at all because they'd roasted so well. So I may end up adding a little heat to it as well. Let's go ahead and put in a healthy teaspoon and a half of salt. Put in some fresh cracked black pepper. Get this a little closer so you can see. I'm going to put a little balsamic vinegar, just a little bit. Only about a teaspoon of that. About a teaspoon of red wine vinegar. And we're going to put this on here and pulse it a little bit and see kind of what we get to. All right, combining fairly well. I'm getting a rubber spatula. Scrape down the sides and the corners. Get this in here. We will want to be getting this until it's like a full puree, so I'm going to need a little more liquid than this. I don't want to put too much vinegar in because there's a good chance that I really mess up the flavor balance. So I'm going to go ahead and go with some extra virgin olive oil. Just kind of drizzled a little around the edge. You just keep wanting to fiddle with it, push things down, check the liquid amounts. I can see the bottom starting to be a pretty decent puree, but the top isn't mixing over too well. Usually that's a sign that there's not quite enough liquid in there. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut up this other avocado. So again, just kind of cut down carefully until I hit the pit, and then I'm going to roll around the pit. Open it up, and you can see the coloration on this one. Oh, the lighting's not so good. But the coloration on this one is significantly better. That other one was definitely overripe. Put that in there. Put the other half in there. It's looking pretty good. I might grab a little water just to bring a little more of that moisture content back in. Some of this is science, some of this is art. There we go. We are definitely moving now. Yeah, it just needed a little water. All right. Time to plate up a single serving. All right. We have an open bag of pita chips, so I'm going to take a couple of heaping tablespoons here for serving. Pile it up kind of in the middle of the plate. Mostly crumbs here. Pretty sure the dog will eat these. You could pair this with like raw broccoli and cauliflower and carrots. That would be a good mix for this. Pita chips. I mean, you could probably use tortilla chips for all that, for that matter. I love pita chips, so it's one of my favorite pairings. Just like a hummus dip. There you have it. One hell of a meal.